Good evening. Welcome to the Christmas Eve service at Park Place Christian Church. We appreciate you being here in person, and we also are glad that you're joining us on YouTube if you are. We want to make sure that everyone has a candle that was at the back of the sanctuary. If you don't have a candle, raise your hand and somebody will get you one. Okay. Everybody got one? Okay. They're him. All through this season of Advent, as we prepared for Christmas, we've been exploring how we as a church can make room in the inn, becoming more hospitable to the needs of our community. On this Christmas Eve, we declare that the inn is open for business of compassion with room enough for all. The long-awaited Messiah has been born, and on him the light shines. We have only to open the doors of our lives and say welcome. Our Advent journey has led us to this moment when the light shining through the closed doors of life becomes an open door to new possibilities. Peace, joy, and love multiplies from one illuminated heart and hand to another. Tonight, we offer the lights of hope, peace, joy, and love to illumine the door of welcome. And we add the brightest light of all, the light of the newborn Jesus. It shines bright like the star that rose over Bethlehem. May this light also shine in our hearts, in our lives, and in our church. May this light awaken us to the possibilities that lead us to a greater hospitality. There is room at this inn, the house for the holy. I'll be reading from Isaiah 9, 2 through 7 in the New International Version. The people walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of deep darkness, a light has dawned. You have enlarged the nation, increased their joy. They rejoice before you as people rejoiced at the harvest, as warriors rejoiced when dividing the plunder. For as the day of Midian's defeat, you have shattered the yoke that burdens them, the bar across their shoulders, the rod of their oppressor. Every warrior's boot used in battle and every garment rolled in blood will be destined for burning, will be fuel for the fire. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful, Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the greatness of his government and peace there will be no end. He will reign on David's throne and over his kingdom, establishing and upholding it with justice and righteousness from that time on and forever. The zeal of the Lord Almighty will accomplish this. That ends the reading of the Old Testament reading. And then I will be reading from Luke 2, 1 through 7. In those days, Caesar Augustus issued a decree that a census should be taken of the entire Roman world. This was the first census that they took place while Quirinius was governor of Syria, and everyone went to their own town to register. So Joseph also went up from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to Bethlehem, to the town of David, because he belonged to the house and line of David. He went there to register with Mary, who was pledged to be married to him and was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for the baby to be born, and she gave birth to the firstborn, a son. She wrapped him in cloths and placed him in a manger because there was no guest room available for them in the inn. This ends the reading.
How are you doing? We have for the last 4 weeks been preparing for this moment. Some of you have been rested and you have completed all your preparations and there's no anxiety in your being. Others of you, your anxiety level is high because there's so much preparation yet to be done for either the cooking or the cleaning the house or those last minute gifts or. So for just this moment, while we're gathered together, let's just breathe. Throughout our time together, we have been inserting in our prayer time breath time. Part of that is because it's interesting, isn't it, that pneuma and breath is the same word. Spirit and breath is the same word. And so when we get a chance to just kind of take a break and breathe and let the Spirit back in, because sometimes we're like this and there's no room for the Spirit to come in and move. Davidson was reading his son's school newsletter, and they were really needing a new copy machine. But there was a typo in the news message, and they left the Y off. And so the newsletter article was school searching for a coping machine. And I thought, wouldn't it be awesome if we could all buy a coping machine? But let me let you in on a secret. We already have one. We already have one. and that one we are speaking about tonight. The miracle of this story, and probably the joy that we get to revisit this every year, and we get to walk through Advent every year, is to kind of reset us and remind us about who we are in relationship to God. Remember, nowhere in Greek mythology, nowhere is there ever a God that would lower to the human level. And in our story, we have God who not only comes to the human level, but to the lowest of the human level. Imagine a God who says, I love them so much, and I want them to get it and understand it. How can I get it to them in a way that doesn't threaten them or puts them off? How many of us, when we walk up on somebody who has a baby, looks at that baby and goes, ugh? Some of you might say, I've had to hold back. But there's something about seeing a baby that discharges in us this sense of awe and okayness. And so it was a brilliant idea to say, I want to show humanity love, so I'm going to come in the lowest human form I can, a dependency upon a human. And so what we celebrate today is this God who says, I believe in you, I trust in you, and I am going to show you one way or another that I'm with you always, I will love you always, no matter what. And then Mary becomes a model for us of somebody who has been able to receive the message of God in such a way, not knowing what the future holds, not knowing, but trusting what God says. This has never been done before. How do I know this is true? But trust God enough. I'll be your vehicle. I don't quite understand what's happening, but I will trust that your path is the path I follow. And so a baby comes into the world. Now, if you were here Sunday, we talked about how a baby can change even the highest of highest people, right? I have another story for you. So there was a mining company in California. All men, one woman. And that one woman had a baby, but the woman died. And so here are all these men looking at this baby thinking, what do we do? And so it was, as they had to take charge of this baby, they saw that the baby was laying in a box. The mother didn't have really any money. I mean, you're out in a mining country. So the baby was placed in a box. And now all of a sudden the miners are looking at the baby in the box and they said, this box is not good enough for this baby. So they sent somebody out to Sacramento and said, go and find us a crib that will be good for this baby. So they find a rosewood crib, beautiful crib. They placed the baby in the crib and they said, oh, isn't that wonderful? Except now that there's such a beautiful crib, they notice the baby is in these ratty clothes. So they decide, well, that doesn't fit this cradle. So they sent somebody out again, go and buy some clothes, lacy, frilly things. It'll be nice for this brand new baby. And so they go and they buy the clothes, and so they have the baby in this beautiful rosewood crib with these beautiful clothes in, but now they're noticing that the floor below the crib is kind of yucky. And so they decide, let's clean the floor. And so they come about their business and they scrub and scrub and scrub until the floor is so clean. But now that the floor is clean, they notice the walls. And they notice the ceiling. They said, wow, that doesn't match this clean floor with this beautiful baby and these beautiful clothes and this beautiful crib. We've got to clean. And so they go about cleaning the walls and they go about cleaning the ceiling, and it all looks so great. But then the miners began to look at their own selves, and they said, this baby needs quiet time, and so maybe we don't need to be so gruff anymore. Honestly, maybe we need to check our language. And so they make this pact with each other to, let's just be quieter, and let's be nicer in the things that we say. And then they looked around their little mining community, and they said, this mining community is not good for a baby. So they went and they bought flowers, and they planted flowers, and they cleaned it up all around them. And so it looked so beautiful. And then the miners are looking at themselves, and they're going, oh, wow, it's so beautiful here, and this baby's so beautiful with a beautiful crib, beautiful clothes. Maybe we need to kind of dress a little better too. And so on and on and on, what began to happen with these miners and with the community is the entire community transformed just because of a little baby in a box. And how true is that for you and I today? We come here tonight because we know we need to be here, and that we want to be here to celebrate God come to earth in such a beautiful, wonderful form, in a cradle, in a stable, because God wanted us to know. But the other half of that argument is, we need to let him in. This little baby can only go so far. But we got to meet the baby, right? We've got to hold this baby. We've got to nurture this baby. And in our own holding and nurturing of this baby, we get transformed in our heart. And part of that transformation is like what Gray Gordon calls in his book, Preaching During a Revolution. And he said, the good news of Christmas is that this baby of Bethlehem can perform miracles in our lives if we let him. I've talked to you before and yet again reminded that miracles do still happen. Do we let it in? Do we give it a possibility? Do we open that possibility presence in our own soul and spirit? Do we look for them wherever we are? Because if we let him in, he goes on to say, we move from fear to faith. We move from jealousy to generosity. We move from a terrible resentment to a tender-hearted kindness. We become transformed when we allow this baby in. Transformation is what it's all about. Transformation has always been what the message of Christ has always been about, for people to realize their value and their worth no matter what. And to come to them and say, I want you to know that what you've done in the past and you want to feel guilty about it, you can let it go. If you feel resentful and angry about something, you can let it go. If you feel shame and unworthiness, you can let it go. Because this baby has come and has transformed our lives. Roy Smith said, and he said it well, he who has not Christmas in his heart will never find it under the tree. So tonight, some of you may be wondering, what's for Christmas? What am I going to get? When do I get to open my presents? But the truth is that we have one already here, waiting for us to open it, waiting for us to receive it. So I'm going to tell you one more Christmas drama at church. Church is going to have this play. One of the little boys chosen to be the innkeeper has his one line. He's had to learn it and learn it. He's got it in his head, but he doesn't like it. His one line is to say there's no room in the inn, and to say it with a little bit of disgust. But he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't think that's right, but that's the play. He's got to do it. So his parents work with him and work with him. Son, this is a play. It's okay. Just read the line. The night of the play comes. The parents are on the front row, and with bated breath. They're waiting for their son to deliver his line. And when he gets his cue to deliver the line, he says, "And there's no room in the inn." And the parents breathe a sigh of relief. Oh, we got past that. But the son couldn't leave it there. And he speaks up again in the middle of the play to say, "But you can come in anyhow and have milk and cookies." That's what transformation does. Maybe I don't have quite the accommodations that you need, but I'll give you what I have. And that's all he asks from us. Give me what you have. Meet me where you are. I'll do the rest. I can transform you. I could change your life if you will let me in. May we open our inn tonight and allow him into our hearts as only we can. So tonight we want to share with you a little bit about the inn opening we have been doing here at Park Place and the inn keeping that you will get to do tonight for our community here at Park Place. So we're inviting Tracy Roberts to come forward as part of our outreach committee, who will share with us what we've been up to.
Is donations to First Step, Emily's Legacy, which is a dog rescue group here in town, our first responders, members of our own congregation that need a little help throughout the year, Interfaith Ministries, Hurricane Relief, and 3,000 cookies for Hotter Than Hell. Thank you.
So for the past several years, we've been honoring our local EMTs and firefighters at Christmas time by delivering stockings to the ones who have to work on Christmas Day. And we're going to do that again this week, tomorrow. So you may, if you would like to stay and be part of that assembly line, after the service, go into the fellowship hall. We're going to put together the stockings. And if you're feeling particularly artistic, there's some little notes in there that we're going to stick in with them that you can put Christmas stickers on. Thank you.
Tonight, I'm going to share with you a song a friend of mine wrote when I was in seminary. We belonged to a little group called Spirit Song. And Frizzell Brown, who may be watching us this evening, wrote this song, and I will do my best to give him credit for that and halfway sing it decently. But it's a song about light, and that we are all light. And the light, when we light our candles at Christmas time, or anytime we light a candle, it is lit to remind us the Spirit is with us, the Spirit is always present, and it is also within us. So hopefully I can do this doing proud. In a world that's filled with crying, where sadness, hunger, pain abound, people angry, people fighting, Will peace ever here be found? Well, in this world there's a corner where the candles light to see, and the candle glow comes from a little baby. Where shall I go to find this baby? What worthy gift shall I bring? Should I not bow down before him, worship him as Lord and King? Well, all these questions good and proper, but we can't forget to see that like a candle's light he comes, a little baby. Bringing peace to the world, a goal we'd all like to see. But first we must be reconciled with those we daily see, for the hope that comes to our world would not a mighty presence be, but comes to us in the presence of a little baby. In a world that's filled with crying, where sadness, hunger, pain abound, people angry, people fighting, can peace ever here be found? Well, peace is just around the corner, waiting there for you and me. And like the light of one candle, a little baby. Yes, hope in darkness for our world, a little baby. So tonight, we're going to be that light and that candle. And so for those of you online, if you have a candle that you would like to light, I invite you to join us with that. And for those of you here, as tradition has had it for many, many years, that we invite you to stand up and find a spot around the edge of the sanctuary, and we'll shut off all the lights in here, and then we will slowly watch the light begin to emerge out of the darkness. And Mike, we're good if you shut that door for us. We'd like to have it as dark as possible, but we also on some level need to see. So tonight, as we light this candle, this is a candle off the Christ candle. So as we light this candle from one another, we're sharing the light of Christ. Sometimes we feel like we're not very important or we don't have a lot of worth. But as you see, that if we light our candles around and somebody doesn't light their candle, there's a dark spot. So we're all needed. We're all necessary. All our gifts and talents are important. So as we send the light around, and as you light yours, I want you to think in your head, as you're lighting yours, this is a Christ light for me, because Christ believes in me. He comes for me. He loves me. And then in our response, we share that love with others. So it's an important night as we start and share the light. And then we're going to sing Silent Night. If you don't know the words, just hum it. We'll sing it as far as we can remember it. Makes this a special night is because we didn't get to do this last year. In the midst of the pandemic, it was a tough call for us not to have this service. This year we're still in the midst of the pandemic. And even as numbers are continuing to crawl up again, we have a lot of people more vaccinated than before, so we pray for those people who are continuing on the front lines and for those who are dealing with the pandemic and ill, and for the many people right now who are struggling with health issues, for us to remember them. It is now our job, as we leave here, we ask you to leave your light on until you reach the narthex, and then you can blow it out. Please don't set anybody's hair on fire. But for us to take this gift of Christ at Christmas into the world, and that we share that with the world wherever we are, because right now this world needs to hear this message more than ever. So let me do a blessing for us as we leave. God, we give you thanks and praise for this night, a holy night, a night where your word came to life, a night where you prove to us the depth of your love. Help us that we might be the inn for you to stay, for you to have a safe and warm place to be in our hearts, and that as you nurture us, we nurture you, and that we're able to take that out into the world. Help us to be your lights, to know that we have your light within us, so that we can make a difference in the world. For God so loved the world. Be with us now. For those people who are homeless, for those people who are struggling this season because of the loss of a loved one, for those who are struggling in relationships with children or with spouses or family members. May your blessing of peace be upon them, and may they know the joy of Christmas as love came down to fill us with hope again, with love, determination, and will to be our God, that we might be your people. All of this we give you thanks and praise. Amen. If you would like to, as Susan invited you to go out the narthex and then turn into the fellowship hall to help put some stockings together so that we can bless those that have to work on Christmas, we sure would enjoy your fellowship in that time.